finished with a record of 34-11. Some new faces on the baseball team as well this year. Players coming back, 2 starting pitchers, 5 position players, but a lot of talent leaving the program, some talent leaving in the draft. So an interesting mix of new faces on the program this year. Here with us today, student athletes, Chase Kiefer in the middle there. Kiefer, in his 2 seasons so far, has moved around from the infield and the outfield, played 78 games for the Argonauts. And then on the far side, Walker O'Connor, last year as a redshirt freshman, was the Conference Freshman of the Year as a pitcher, and this year is a Baseball Writers Association preseason all-region pick. So we'll start off with head coach Mike Jeffcaot. So going into this year's spring season, what are some of the goals for the team?
Well, the first goal would be to stay healthy. We had some injuries last year to some seniors, and one senior in particular, Caleb Barlow, and then Alex Green broke his hand, our returning shortstop, and that's where Chase Kiefer stepped in, and his versatility helped us a lot, playing second base. But the team still played well, and we lost 6 position player starters and all 3 guys out of our rotation. So it's a very new team. We only have 3 seniors returning, but we have some leadership juniors guys that have been in the program like Kiefer. Walker's been here too. This is his 3rd year now. So what we're hoping for is these guys that have been around or, continue to impose on the other players that are new what I preach to them every day about, showing the pride and really fighting. And we're trying to get back that little bit of edge. We had really everything in front of us last year, going into the last series of the year at Delta State, needing to win 2 out of 3, and we didn't get it done. And won a couple games in the conference tournament, 3 games in the conference tournament, and still left us on the bubble and didn't make the regional tournament. So, I keep reminding these guys, we should have a chip on our shoulder. We don't want to be in that position again to be on the bubble. That's not an easy task, but, the one thing I've liked about this group is they seem to get along real well. They seem to support one another, and we're really pushing that to, grow and lead and encourage every day. And if they can do those 3 things, I think we'll be okay.
So which individuals, pitchers, and position players do you feel will be making a big impact this year?
Well, we have some new junior college guys, 2 of them in the outfield. Darius Clark, that's going to hit near the top of the order along with Kiefer here. Both of these guys bring speed to the top of the order. Darius has got some pop in his bat, and he's a definite pro prospect for us. But, right now, looking for those guys to be the table setters. I think Kiefer had a down year average-wise, but he still sold 18 out of 18 bases, I want to say. And I don't know that he's been thrown out in 2 years, maybe once. But, so as I'm preaching to him, if he can get on, we're going to score. Juan Figueroa, another junior college newcomer that'll play left field, is going to hit the middle of the order. He's got some power, and we look for him to do big things. We've got 2 first baseman junior college guys that are battling it over there. Dylan Van Putten from Michigan, one of our first northern guys, caught him down here playing some of the Panhandle junior colleges, and we're able to get him over for a visit. And then Jordan Stark, Jones Junior College transfer, and he's 6'6". His brother just finished up closing against us at Delta State, and he was drafted out of there, and Delta State really wanted him, so that was kind of sweet getting to steal him from Delta State. But they're great guys, and they work hard. So, up the middle is where you got to be strong. Kyle Hamner's in his junior year, catcher for us, backed up Garrett Flynn that's helping us coach now. And Alex Greenback, if he can stay healthy, he's great up the middle. Ladarius plays center. Kiefer could play center, but he's going to play right for us right now. But, so we like our defense, and we're hoping that our pitching, we got a lot of new arms. And but we like the depth of our arms. I don't know that we have a front line drafted type guy like we did last year with Jordan DeLorenzo and Dawson Brown, but we really like the guys' potential, what they can do for us.
Talk about some highlights of the schedule and some series to look forward to this season.
Well, this weekend we play Florida Southern. We only have a couple weekends there before we start conference, so we try to get in Sunshine State matchups, and you hope in the end that winning that series will help get you over the hump, and that was kind of our tiebreaker with them last year. We won 2 out of 3 on the road, and we were all talking about it earlier. This time last year is when we had the ice out, so the campus was closed down, and for 3 days we couldn't practice. I think softball was the same way, and And lo and behold, we go down to Florida Southern and open up the first game of the year in a 15-inning pitchers duel. And that's where kind of Walker came out of his shell and pitched 7 innings in relief for us and really started showing us what he might be able to do for us down the stretch. And we lost that game but won the next 2, and it seemed that tiebreaker wasn't enough to get us over the hump. So this series is really big for us, Florida Southern. We want to set the tone with that, but, we can't let it make or break our season either. And then, of course, we get into conference play, and Alabama, Huntsville, and Delta State has had our number the last year or so. And, we got to get those. They're coming here this year. And we finish up with Delta, and we got them on our home field. So we got to turn the tables on those 2 for sure.
All right, questions for Coach Jeffcaot or our student athletes?
Last couple of years you have had, you go into the year, you've had to scramble to practice. The last couple of weeks have been good. You've been able to get outside maybe more than you have in recent years. How big of an impact has that made to do what you want to do?
It's been good. I think softball feels the same way. It's been great weather, and when it's rained, it's been one rain day, and it kind of was great in between a 3 or 4 straight day practice period and kind of give them, a little time to recover. And so the great part about it is we've been able to stay on our schedule. Our pitchers' arms have stayed in good shape. Nobody's been, really set back from soreness. So that's been a positive. I think everybody's good to go going into Saturday. And I don't know the last season we've had that. And so the injury part and just getting them in shape and getting them enough time, especially pitchers, enough bullpen sessions and enough live sessions. Of course, you always would like to get the hitters more live, but you only have a certain amount of pitchers that can throw a certain amount of times and come back very often. It is what it is. So we do simulated with coaches throwing, and our coaches do a great job. Kyle Brown and Justin Bennett and Garrett Flynn are back there, and they've been working their tail off for these guys. And so hopefully, you just kind of grind it out the first weekend or so, I think, as a hitter, unlike pro ball where, spring training, you're getting 25 games in, so the hitters are getting 50 at bats minimum before they even get into their season. That's just not possible in 3.5 weeks of, college baseball preparation. The weather's been great, and, we hope it stays this way. We'll see.
You were talking about injuries with the team, speaking from savvy experience with torn rotator cuff pitching. How has that changed over your 10 years, the dynamics of how you look at pitch counts, how you look at the team, and how you go from your starters to your bullpen?
Well, my philosophy has really been having the player involved, not having a set demanding, I know more than you, this is the regimented type of way we do it. We have parameters. Obviously, pitch counts are important, especially earlier in the year, but, we try to, have the players have ownership of that relationship as well. It's their bodies. And so when we're talking long toss and so forth and so on, I talk to the players about their tolerance and how they're feeling that day. And they know it's important for them to communicate with me how they're doing. I give them the game plan for the week, when I'd like to do pins, how much day rest in between so we can come back and inter squad, and what kind of work they need to do in between those times with PFP and long tossing and so forth. But you got to be willing to be flexible off of that schedule. And if a guy's feeling a little bit sore, and you can't just push him and say, well, this is your long toss day, you got a long toss, and then that makes me feel better, but it doesn't necessarily make him feel better. And so it's not about egos. I think those guys know that. I try to take that aside, try to use the best information possible. You hope that your experience has led you to be more understanding and more forgiving and more acceptable of different guys, as long as I know that they're doing what they need to do and they've got a good work ethic. It's a different animal if you're talking about a guy that may be dogging it and not doing what he's supposed to do, and we straighten that out as quickly as possible. But once we have a great trust factor, you try to balance that out. Pitch counts are important, rest time in between. We've gotten away from the long distance running. That's breaking muscle tissue down. And if you look at the cross-country runners and so forth, they're very lean. Well, we're in the weight room trying to build short bursts, explosive muscles for anaerobic event like tennis, like softball, baseball. So why would I want to go long distance run them? So we do a lot more sprint work, which is what pitching is, which is what running 90 feet out of the box is. And I think that's paid off pretty well, And I know when I was coming up, you go run 12 poles, you run for, 2 hours and all this kind of stuff, and you're dead and great, and you flushed your arm out, but I don't know how long that stayed, kept your body up. Thank you.
Like offensively, we were talking before. before and got a sense that maybe you feel like you have to manufacture runs, or did I misread that?
No, my philosophy, really is we got to have more than one way to beat a team. And maybe you run into a buzzsaw and a guy's really on that day, and, we're not going to get many opportunities. If we get an opportunity with a leadoff base runner or, a double or whatever, we got to be able to bunt him over. You talk to the players about having sacrifice. You don't want to take the bat out of their hand. They want to be the big hero and swing the bat and drive them in, and that feels good for the ego and all that, but it's about winning. It's about putting the run on the board. And so we talked to him about being selfless, and being able to bunt the ball and move the guy over. And the next guy, if you just hit a ground ball and play a little pepper in the middle of the field, you've scored that run. And with less than 2 outs from third. And, so it's not necessarily I don't have confidence. We've got some guys that can swing the bat. I just want them understanding as we go in and get into these situations early on, first thing we want to do is score. We want to get on the board as quickly as possible. So now we're not defending, we're accelerating now, and they're trying to play catch up. And hopefully our strength of pitching and defense continues, and then we can start opening it up a little bit and let them swing the bat, and the confidence starts building. But, to expect the first game or first series to come out and you're getting 10, 12, 15 hits a game, don't know that it's going to happen. You hope it does, but if we get 6, 8 hits, we're hoping we can find a way to win that game. So it's just maximizing those opportunities. That you just try to preach to them daily, and let's not question it. And we get an early base runner with no outs at second base, let's bunt him over. And the next guy, he's at third, less 2 outs, let's get him in. I don't need a double down the line. I don't need a big hero 2-run bomb. If all that happens, that's gravy, icing on the cake. But let's have the ability to put it in play. Because the pitchers are going to be trying to mix and change speeds and maybe make you expand your strike zone because they've got a base open with 1 out. And all they're doing if they do lose you is putting a runner at first base, and they still have the double play in order. Okay, so we can't be over-aggressive and think they're just going to feed us fastballs there. And that's where the give and take of an ego of an athlete, of a hitter, which you want, but it's got to have some thought process to it where, this is what they're trying to do to get you out. This is how your approach needs to be. Any further you take it from there as far as hits and doubles and all that is great. But don't get yourself out because you're being naive that they're not going to try to pitch you tough.
Who's your rotation this weekend?
We're going with Jared Petrie. He's a newcomer from University of Central Florida. He pitched there 1 year. They've got stats on him for 1 year, and then he had Tommy John surgery and bounced back from that. He's a 3/4 slot guy with a split and a nice slider changeup guy, and feel like he's, he can't throw the ball very straight and is going to get a lot of ground balls. Another newcomer, Jeremy Nagum. He's from Pine Forest High School, pitched at Northwest Florida State. He's a lefty that if we have the ability, we like to plug a lefty in between our 2 right-handers to kind of give that different mix in the 3-game set. Jeremy's had a lot of success in the Panhandle Conference, and he's a 3-pitch mix guy that can really throw a lot of strikes, not necessarily going to overpower you. And then we had a battle really through the spring and, talked to Walker. He was in that mix for that 3rd spot, and he may be going back in there. Who knows? But we also had 2 seniors, Matt Rodriguez and Alex Stevens. And Alex was our closer last year and did well early on and struggled a little bit out of the pen late. But as I told Walker, it really came down to consistency, and Alex has thrown really well here in January. He was really rehabbing his arm all fall after having some elbow issues. And so with the elbow issues, we figured, he's not going to be able to bounce back with a lot of relief appearances. Why not see if we can get him in the rotation, give him 5-6 days of rest in between starts. He's a senior. Told Walker, you're only a sophomore, and I would hope that if you were in, Alex's shoes, you'd understand that you'd want me to lean towards a senior and give him that opportunity first, and we hope Alex does well. And I know Walker's going to be strong for us out of the pen in midweek starts wherever we need him, and same with Matt Rodriguez and a lot of the guys we have. So those would be our 3 we'll go with this weekend, and we'll see where that takes us. But, they're going to be on pitch counts, and they're probably only going to go 5-6 innings, so we're going to have to go to the pen and really use a lot of our arms, and that's good. You want to see what they can do and how they handle, the situations against outside competition.
Walker, how about what do you prefer and what are you better set up to do? Relieve, start? Do you want to start right now, or do you feel pretty comfortable in the role you have?
I'm pretty comfortable in whatever coach really asks. It's just a different mindset.
Good answer.
I mean,
What do you really?
at the same time, I mean, as a competitor, you want to pitch in the big games. You want to be the weekend starter. You want to be the guy out there for the team. But at the same time, you got to wait, get your number called, and then whenever you get called, you got to execute and basically do your job.
You don't have anything for Chase, the local boy?
Yeah, I don't know if he can answer it next year. But Chase, obviously, you've been part of really, really successful programs, and obviously the disappointment of not getting to the regional last year. What, from you personally, from the team standpoint, I mean, how much does that still burn in you guys, and how does it fuel you as a team now?
It was a little tough last year watching the show. We didn't get our name called. That was a little tough. So I think we've been thinking about it since that happened. And I think this year we just kind of want to control our own destiny, where this weekend we go out and make a statement in a different conference, because when regionals does come out, those are big games against other opponents. And then conference this year, if we come in first, we get to host. So I think that's another goal of ours. So we want to host in May, and we just want to control our destiny and win that, so we can punch our ticket to regionals and not have to sit and wait for our name to be called. So.
Good answers, Mike. Heck of a coach.
Yeah, I've prepped him before.
Walker, how about talking about last year you were able to pitch alongside pitchers like Jordan DiLorenzo and Dawson Brown, and what are some things that you learned pitching, with those guys?
Well, those two guys are great guys. They're great teammates, good friends of mine. I still talk to Dawson and Jordan very frequently. And there's a difference, because Jordan, his sophomore year, didn't have the mindset that he had last year. And he kind of got complacent maybe his sophomore year. And then coming in his junior year, he had a chip on his shoulder, had something to prove. And he really came out and really stated his dominance throughout the conference, throughout basically the whole nation. So that's something you always want to look and you always want to strive for. So